Buckle up, sports fanatics. This is the Sports Chasers Podcast, your HQ for in-depth sports talk. Join host Kevin L. Warren and crew as they dissect the hottest stories, ignite debates, and bring you closer to the action. From locker room whispers to expert takes, we cover it all. It's game time, so strap in and grab a drink. The Sports Chasers Podcast starts right now.
What up, everybody? What's going on, everybody? It's another edition of the Sports Chasers Podcast coming to you live and direct, man. And then tonight, man, we got a special treat for you tonight. We're going to talk about some soccer. We do it all on this channel, man. You name it, we got it. Football, soccer, as they call football across cricket across the pond. Baseball, you got it. We name it. We do it. And I'm happy tonight. We'll get to our guests here in a second. Let's meet the crew. We only got one crew member with us. They got the DA. DA, what's up, brother? How are you tonight?
Hey, man, everything is good. My wife doesn't want too much tonight. She hasn't asked me to do too much. But your boy Coco, his stomach is messed up. That's one of my dogs. So he's been spitting up on every carpet he can find. So. Oh,
we love Coco. Coco is my favorite over there, man. But Coco, get better. Hey, man, we got a wonderful guest today, man. Let me just give him he is Matt Rizzetta. Let me just give him a bio here for a second. Matt Rizzetta is the founder and chairman of North 6 Group, a family office focused on investments in media, marketing, sports, and engagement. Known for forward-thinking and approach to multi-club soccer ownership, Matt founded Club Underdog, a growing portfolio of underdog soccer clubs that includes I don't want to butcher this, Campobasso FC and Ascoli FC in Italy. Also, Dagenham and Redbridge in England. And, of course, Brooklyn FC. You know it. Brooklyn is where I'm from. DA's from Harlem. Men and women's in the United States. Under his leadership, these clubs have risen from lower tier leagues to achieve significant success, including back-to-back promotions for Campobasso FC. I'll read some more because this guy, he's just well-versed, but we'll get to more of his bio here in a little bit. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Mr. Matt Rizzetta, let's go. Let's give him some applause here.
Here you go. That's it. It used to sound like fried chicken, so just take it, Matt. Like the clap, it was bad, man.
Bro, we done stepped our game up, man. So
damn, was Matt flying fried chicken in his house? It just sounded like chicken, like cracking. That's what our applause sounded like. So
Kev, DA, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here. Big fan of what you guys are doing. I know you're still paying off some debts down south. I know after the Yankees lost the World Series. So
I got to find the most expensive Jack Daniels for the Dodger fans. So
I don't know what happened to our Bombers, but
they got bombed. Scouting, man. Something that we'll talk about with you guys, but yeah, scouting. I'm really big on scouting and finding talent, and I think the Yankees have forgot how to do that. Because they just want to get big name guys and bring them in rather than grow a farm system that works, and you can actually reap the benefits of. I don't think we do that anymore.
It's true.
It is what it is.
So Matt, let's jump into this not real quick because we're gonna be hanging out here for a little bit. Brooklyn FC, the whole origin of it. You got clubs across the pond, as we say. How did this originate, and how did you get a professional soccer team into the borough of Brooklyn? How did we get it started?
Well, Kev, so the way this all started was I'm a New York guy like yourselves. Founded a marketing firm actually called North 6 Agency. Now is North 6 Group. It was named after the street in New York where my grandparents immigrated. Most people think it's Williamsburg, but it was actually in Mount Vernon. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mount Vernon, just north of the Bronx.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Basketball, by the way, Mount Vernon doesn't get the credit it deserves, but Mount Vernon basketball is there's a lot of
man, dude, listen, Matt, we could talk about that. I remember, and I'm not gonna go too far because I'm not old guy. So there was a point in time when Mount Vernon was so good.
Oh yeah,
I think they were undefeated, right? But they would be fights with New Rochelle every game.
Yep.
So Mount Vernon and New Rochelle games had nobody there.
They would close them down. They would let people come in.
Yeah, it wouldn't let people come in.
How far back? How far back are you going?
That was the 80s.
Yeah,
In the 80s. They would not let people come to the games because things used to get out of hand for real. So yeah, and they were good. I mean, we talking about they had D1 dudes at Mount Vernon every year. So
the McCrae brothers. We had
my man Gordy.
Ken Gordon more recently.
Yeah. So they had some dudes.
Gus Williams, right? Gus Williams, I think, was from Mount Vernon.
Yeah. Him and his
Ray
brother,
Williams.
Ray Williams, and Edson and Gordy Winchester. He went to Mount and then Mount Vernon. So
No, you're talking history. New York State high school basketball history right there. Yeah.
Yeah, they had I forget this guy's name, man. He looked like a goofball. But it's funny because when I watched the show just recently on the NBA, Shaq was talking about a guy that he could never guard.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get his name, but he went to Mount. He's a Mount Vernon kid, tall, white, lanky kid.
Really? He went to Mount Vernon or Mount St. Michael's?
Mount St. Michael. He didn't go to Mount Vernon, but he's from Mount Vernon.
Okay.
Remember the Catholic schools? If you could play, they just
Now it's changing. It's tough for these public schools to get talent.
Get those players. The Catholic schools will grab them up, man. Private schools grab them up, man.
Yeah.
But I remember his name before the show. But Shaq said he could never guard this guy because he was Southern Orthodox.
I'd love to know who that is.
Yeah, I will get his name, man. It's on the tip of my tongue.
But go ahead. Just going back to your question. So I grew up very close to my grandparents. Named the agency North 6 Agency after them. We built it about 10 or 12 years into one of the largest or one of the fastest growing firms in the U.S. And then I got out of bed one day and I was like, I want to start investing in businesses that I feel I'm a little bit more passionate about. And I was always passionate about sports. My grandparents emigrated here from Italy. I grew up very close, with my grandfather in particular, watching Italian soccer, Italian football. This was back in the early 90s with Maradona and all those the big teams in Italy. So I wound up going into a place in Italy called Campobasso. By the way, you nailed it. The pronunciation, you got that perfect, Kev, by the way.
Hey, bro, I grew up on a block in Flatbush with a couple of Italians, so they taught me well, bro.
You know what you're doing. So I thought it would be a great story. The club had just went bankrupt essentially, and it had to restart from the 5th tier. And you know how it works in European soccer, there's promotion and relegation. So if you win, you work your way up in the tiers. So I thought it would be this nice little kind of rags to riches Cinderella story. We took the club from the 5th tier. And when we bought the club, literally we had no players, we had no coach. The stadium was abandoned. 25,000 seat stadium was left completely abandoned. They had mushrooms growing on the field. That's how bad it was. And in 2 years, we won 2 championships. We got the club promoted twice. Now we're in the 3rd tier of Italian football. And that's been like one of the most gratifying and, rewarding experiences of my whole career, my whole life. And that's ultimately what took us to Brooklyn. We had done it in Europe, in Italy. And then we were looking around in our backyard. We're all New York guys. My 3 daughters were all born in Brooklyn, family and stuff like that. All from Brooklyn, Bensonhurst, I lived in Bensonhurst for several years. Ultimately,
I went to Lafayette. So okay. I know exactly what you're talking about, bro.
And we just thought, Brooklyn, what better place to do pro soccer in the United States than Brooklyn? You look at the demographic composition of Brooklyn, the name brand, Brooklyn carries a lot of name brand recognition. It means something when you go across the world and you say Brooklyn. And we're all underdogs, and we're all underdogs. We started from nothing and we achieved a little bit of, little something in our lives. And we felt like Brooklyn is the quintessential underdog story. So what better place to bring pro soccer, pro football in the U.S. than Brooklyn? And that's how it all started. And then I went on basically a 3-year odyssey to actually bring the project to life. We had to find the league to play in, negotiate franchise fees, territory rights, find a stadium to play in, deal with the city of New York. So, you have to have a lot of persistence and resiliency and stick-to-itiveness to get that done. But finally, we got it done, and now we're playing. The women's team is off to the races. We're in first place right now in the USL Super League, and the men's team is going to be playing beginning next year in the USL Championship. So we're psyched about the project.
Let me ask you this. It's funny you talked about territorial rights. Me and DA always talk about intricacies like that. Did the MSL give you any issues with New York FC, MLS? Excuse me, I'm sorry, MLS, New York FC, and New York, New Jersey Red Bull? Did they have any issues with that, with the men's coming aboard, or was that kind of carte blanche? And
well, it was ultimately, we ultimately went with the USL, which is competitive to the MLS. So there was no legal jurisdiction they had over us. But the interesting thing was, NYCFC at the time was in the process of potentially moving into a new stadium. Now they got a stadium project out in Queens near where the Mets play. That's supposed to be going. It's supposed to be going to be constructed in the next couple of years. Mm-hmm. Anyway, when they decided to move to Queens, at that point, that was really the thing that put our deal over the top, because we said, you know what? There's really no threat to competition in Brooklyn. We got Brooklyn all to ourselves. NYCFC is going to Queens. We got Red Bull with their stadium out in New Jersey. And that really was what gave us the comfort to go ahead and get this thing off the ground. Because if we were a little bit nervous at one point that NYCFC might be encroaching into Brooklyn, building a stadium there or something like that, when they decided to go to Queens, we were like, all right, Brooklyn is all ours now, and we can get this thing going.
That's cool. That's cool.
The other thing too, DA, you'll appreciate this. NYCFC and Red Bull, they're owned by global conglomerates. NYCFC is owned by the Arabs, the Emirates, right?
Yes.
And the sheiks out there that own City Football Group, Man City, all those clubs. And Red Bull and Jersey is obviously owned by Red Bull, which is a beverage company.
Yeah.
So as much respect as we have and I have for both of those clubs and their projects, the reality is their ownership doesn't really have any connection to New York.
Yes.
We're New Yorkers. We're not billionaires, any of us, but we're just hardworking New Yorkers that love our city. We love what we love our roots. We love our and we're trying to build a legacy for ourselves here locally and give back to the communities that gave so much to us. So I think we're sort of a nice contrast, a welcome contrast in many ways to what a lot of the MLS fans are used to seeing from the competitive ownership in the MLS locally.
Go ahead.
No, okay. There's one other question. So how is it for the team, for the ladies now playing out at Coney Island? How's that going?
Kev, I got to be honest with you. When we started the Brooklyn project, we had no experience running any women's teams. All of our teams to that point had always been men's teams, and I didn't really know what to expect. Within a few months, we got the women's team built in like 4 or 5 months. We were the last team to sign with the Super League, so we've kind of been drinking out of the fire hose and getting this thing built real quick. I'm having the time of my life building the women's team. We have, number one, we're the only women's professional soccer team in the city of New York.
Yeah.
Gotham, New York technically plays in New Jersey. So we're the only team in the 5 boroughs in the pro women's game right now. I have 3 daughters at home. So to be able to see, you're giving role models to these girls, you're giving dreams and hope and a sense of identity to a new generation that previously didn't have anyone to look up to. So I didn't think I was gonna. I'm geeking out on the women's team. I love the women's team. I'm having the time of. We have women from all over the world. From clubs like Chelsea, Real Madrid, from clubs. They all want to play in Brooklyn. They all want to do something special with us in Brooklyn. And I think if we play our cards right, we could be, realistically one of the top 10 or 20 best women's teams in the world in the next couple of years. And that's something I don't think we'll ever have the opportunity to do on the men's side, just because it's so established at this point. So that's awesome. We're sort of writing history from scratch, which is super cool.
Yeah, I definitely can see that, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. But you guys pay as well as anybody else in the world, not in the country, not what's it, NWSL. You guys pay like you guys have same salary caps.
Yep.
Like you guys are dishing out the dough, which means that you're going to have players. and they're going to come like you guys pay. Well, Europe and America is different, right? From the pound to the dollar.
Yeah.
But essentially, you guys pay more than what's that Super League, the English team out in London, the Super League team there.
Yeah.
If you take the dollars, and I'm a nerd, so I geek out like that, and I ran the computations from the pound to the dollar, and of course, cost of living is different. But if you go dollar for dollar, you guys are paying out per player essentially the same thing for a brand new team.
No doubt.
So I could only imagine that if there's a young lady that playing college football, soccer, and there's a chance to go here or there, now you guys can compete and say, you know what, yeah, it's like you said, it's not so established as it is with the men's game, FIFA, so forth and so on. You can say, listen, we pay as much, and in a few years, if we keep doing this the way we're on this trajectory, we'll be as good as them, and we'll be ranked in the top. Because remember, when they list teams and leagues are the best teams in the world, they don't necessarily care what league you're in. They care about who's the best team in the world. So you could be in the USL, you could be in whatever league, but if you're that good, you're that good. And FIFA will come a calling. And once that time comes, you just have to send me out to a game somewhere, bro. Across because I think
you're welcome anytime, DA.
Yeah, I think Copa, when you got them playing Juventus, then I'm there. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's go. I'll be the only one in the stadium.
We're gonna make it happen. I'll keep your seat warm for you.
Yeah. Listen, be it. I'm coming in the New York style, ready to fight. Do what we do at the soccer game and make it happen, man. Because hey, now Hoovy is good, but yeah, that's why we talk about relegation. And I'm gonna let Kev go because I know he's getting mad, but I talk about relegation in all sports and promotion in all sports. And I think the Americans teams, and it's not going to happen because guys own stadiums, right? So the guy that owns the team owns the stadium. But golly gee, wouldn't sports be better if you could move the Giants down, move another team up? I'm sorry, Kev. That's his.
It keeps you on your toes. It keeps you on your toes. It's funny because when we went into USL, one thing that they talked about was potentially instituting this promotion relegation system, which currently is not in existence in the US, right? So I'm hoping eventually that gets approved. And we're at the top of the pyramid, we're in the USL Championship, but even being in the top of the pyramid, I would still be all for promotion relegation, even knowing that we would be at risk, because that's what sports is all about. It should be a meritocracy. If you put the hard work in, you get the results, you move up. And if you don't, you move down. I mean, that's how life works, right? And
that's how you get the players too. Like the ladies that you want, guys that you want to play for you should be the ones that want to be at the top and are not afraid of being at the top and holding their position. Those are the guys, because those are the ones that keep you at the top. Folks that are, hey, I'm here now, but maybe I'm not here. No. You like to be the hunted. You like to be the hunted, so.
Definitely.
But yeah, I hear you. I'm with you.
Nah, it's what you said about the regulation. I wish, especially some of the, we talked about the Giants and stuff like that. That would be something, but I'm not going to talk about that other league. But God knows, I wish there was some regulation in that league. But we're not going to bash tonight. It's all about soccer tonight. It's all about football. Matt, let me just ask you this other question. Your experience with the European soccer leagues and how you started over there, how did it help you hone your skills for the present, for the ladies and the women, and incorporating that?
Well, in a bunch of ways. First and foremost, it's religion over there. You go to Europe, and I grew up. I'll be 42 years old in December. I grew up a diehard New York sports fan. I mean, I went to every Yankee home opening game with my father. Sneaking into the bleachers, flipping a $50 bill to the usher back in the day. I mean, that was my childhood. So I knew a thing or two about passion. I mean, you're in New York sports fans are passionate, right? More than I think any other fans in the US, but it pales in comparison to what you see in Europe. I mean, it's literally a part of their soul. The teams are a part of their souls and identity. So I think that was the first thing, Kev, that I learned about the connection between a team and a community and how deep it can touch their soul, more so than anything I had ever experienced in U.S. sports. So that was the first thing I said. There's got to be a way we can recreate that somehow, or begin to recreate that in the United States. And that really is the backbone of our project in Brooklyn, is get into the ethnic communities, get into the communities that really make Brooklyn unique. Brooklyn is a melting pot, unlike any other, borough, any other city really in the world. We wanted to really create a club that gave a real sense of identity to these people that deserved their own club. I think the Brooklyn Nets hit on that in many ways, but they also might have missed on that in a few ways. We want to be as authentic and genuine and pure a product as we possibly can, and really create a love affair between our club and the people that identify with Brooklyn. So that was the first thing. And the second thing I think might even be more important than that is, in Europe, it's all about the product. The sport speaks for itself. They don't really do a lot to the game day experience, luxury suites. They're not really into that. They're into it, but they're not into it like we are over here. So it taught me about you focus obsessively on the product, which is the sport. That's what they're selling. In the United States, really in all 4 or 5 of our major sports leagues, they really focus on everything around the product first now. They focus on the fan experience, the entertainment aspect, merchandising. And then it's like, oh, by the way, we're also playing football today. We're also playing basketball today. But the product is in many ways secondary to the experience. So that was one thing that the European experience taught me, was that you focus first and foremost on the product, and everything around it will follow. And, that actually runs counter to, I think, a lot of what U.S. Professional sports franchises are doing right now. So those would be, I would say, the two things that we've taken away from our experience in Europe. But then the same is true in reverse. We're also learning a lot about things that are making us successful in the U.S. game that we want to implement and adopt, to improve the way that we're doing things in Europe. So that's been interesting. There's been a little bit of a give and take with that too.
I think that's good.
Go ahead. No, you got it. Good.
I was going to say, I think what you're saying is so on point, man. I think in Brooklyn, you'll have a real good time of it, because you'll have, Antiguan, Jamaican, Haitian, Italian, Irish, Polish. You'll have folks that, like you said, grew up watching Maradona and the first Ronaldo, and, that just love the game. And folks that love the game, it's not like, and we argue about this whole time about basketball in America, female, women's basketball and men. You love soccer, because the triangles are still the same, on the field, right? So the formations are the same. Good soccer is good soccer, and that's how that TV show Wrexham or whoever it is with
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, is that you can see how by them winning, they not took over, but they endeared themselves to the folks in the community. And folks like not winners in football or soccer. They like people that try hard and play the game right. And, people always gravitate to those types of teams, And, I think you'll have an easy time, man, once folks start to see the effort of the young ladies, and then when you get the guys involved, their effort and how they're playing. And then I think at some point in time, you're going to get some homegrown New York talent that shines through, and you're able to pull upon. And when that happens, then things get crazy. Then you're back to your marketing life, and things get nuts, right? Because then you're doing all kinds of stuff at that point in time. But yeah, I agree with you, man, and I think more Americans should look at the sport more than the experience, because like a Knicks game now is an experience. Yeah. People don't go to the Knicks game to watch the Knicks play. They go there to hobnob and do a business deal in the bathroom or at the concession stand or something. So it kind of takes the oomph out. Like you can hear them cheer, but it's not the old cheer that we used to cheer for a team being good. You know, when the
No,
Knicks,
DA, you're hitting my heartstrings, because that's how I feel. I mean, you're talking to someone who grew up going to Yankee games, sitting in the bleachers, sneaking,
yes, sir.
And now I'm guilty too. Now when I go to Yankee game, it's about lobster and crab legs, in the Legends. It's different, and
yeah, for sure.
So I think this has been kind of a breath of fresh air, because it's taken us and me personally back to our roots, in creating something that's grassroots, product first, galvanizing the community, giving a source of giving everyone a sense of pride and identity, and really, Brooklyn people are proud. Everyone's proud to be from Brooklyn. By the way, people who aren't from Brooklyn say they're from Brooklyn too. Everyone feels like, when you say Brooklyn, it feels like Kevin, right? I mean, that's
except for this guy right here. He will never say that. He'll say,
"Oh man, I did it once in Union Square in the club, and everything was going crazy at Union Square, and he was, go Brooklyn, and I turned around and it was like a million Brooklyn dudes. So I was like, go Brooklyn.
DA, you're from where? From Harlem?
Yeah, Harlem and the Bronx.
And Brooklyn. I mean, that's a rivalry, right? Harlem.
Yeah, I should women from everywhere, brother. Everybody loved me. So my mom was from the Bronx. Pops lived at home. We used to go to 75 cent to go see the Yankees, man, and sit in the bleachers.
In the bleachers?
Yeah, 75 cent. I remember bat days were really real bats. We would go across the street and play baseball at McCombs Park, right across the street from Yankee Stadium. We didn't wait.
And it was empty. Remember how empty Yankee Stadium was?
Yeah. That's where you go get a bat, come back and get another bat, and go play.
Yankee Stadium was empty. I mean, the upper deck for 80% of the games was totally
just
empty.
Walk on down. You just walk on down. Almost be sitting in the dugout. So talking to Cliff Johnson. So
I think you hit it right on the spot, Matt, when you talked about passion and stuff like that, and like you say, you sit in the Legends Suite. The couple times I've been there, I've sat there, and had food brought into me, and it's like a great experience. I actually think the old stadium is better than the new stadium. It was louder and it rocked a little bit more than the new stadium across the street from, like you said. Let me talk about the men's. What are you doing? When did they begin play? And what are you guys doing to prepare them for the 2025 season?
So the men's team is beginning actually the World Cup year 2026. The women's team has started already. We're in first place on the women's side. So the men's team, 2025 for us is going to be a year where we build the team. We're going to start running some tryouts. DA, you hit on this earlier. There's so much local talent in the New York area. So we're trying to build a team that obviously is extremely multicultural, that represents, the melting pot that is Brooklyn. So we're going to get players from all over the world, South America, South and Central America, Eastern Europe, Africa, Asia, you name it. But we also want to make Brooklyn really a local community team as well, and give people who are in the New York metro area an opportunity to jumpstart their careers. There's so much football, soccer talent in New York, and they just don't have platforms. They don't have stages to showcase their skills. So we really want our project in Brooklyn Football Club to be seen as a showcase for them. So we're going to recruit all of them. If you're hungry, and you want to play, you're going to have an opportunity to, put your skills to test with us. And all that's going to start in 2025. Obviously, marketing and promoting the team. We're going to be doing a lot of community events. We're going to be getting into a lot of, the hospitals and community programs and schools and stuff like that. I mean, we want to be a very hands-on grassroots program. And then obviously our youth academy is already off and running. We're going to be building that out even more as we get into next year. So we're excited. I think by the time 2026 comes around, the World Cup will be here. Brooklyn Football Club will be up and running with both our women's team, our men's team, our youth academy, and we should be firing on all cylinders by then.
And I think Brooklyn, it would be a destination from folks that you have playing, that are coming from all over the world. I think you guys are geniuses, to be honest, because wherever they're from, they'll be able to find a community in Brooklyn that's like theirs back home. Food, music, but they'll live a lot better, right? But
Definitely.
you won't be like a fish out of water. Like if you move to, somewhere in California, somewhere where there's no South America, there's not a big Italian, all those things you can find in Brooklyn. If you're looking for like a real slice of pizza, if you got a cat that came from Italy, you can find it in Brooklyn,
Totally.
So that's important. African food, you can find it in Brooklyn, and that's big. Like the comfort of the players and how comfortable they feel living where they work is extremely important.
No, Dia, I totally agree. I mean, that's a big part of our recruiting strategy, and we found success already on the women's side with that. No matter where you come from in the world, no matter what your background is, you come to Brooklyn and you're going to fit in. You're going to adjust, and you nailed it. A lot of our players, they don't speak English, or English is their second language, or they might have never even been outside of Central or South America or Asia or Africa. Well, guess what? You come to Brooklyn and you feel at home, and I think that's a big selling point for us, without disrespecting, of course, any other USL franchise. I mean, Brooklyn is Brooklyn. It's unique. It's not Kansas. It's not Iowa. It's not, Nebraska. It's Brooklyn, and you can come to Brooklyn and feel like you haven't skipped a beat from home. And that to us is really important.
That's genius. Like it's absolutely genius. When I think about it, you guys are evil geniuses, like Pinky and the Brain. You guys are
evil for sure. Geniuses, I'm not convinced yet.
You're
time
good,
will
man.
tell.
That's a great idea. Like thinking about it, it's like, wow, okay, yeah. You're a West Indian guy, you can go get a roti or a beef patty. Or African guy, you can
you're a train ride away.
Kev, you know what you would appreciate, you and Dia. So when the first exercise we did when we bought the Brooklyn franchise, we sat down with our sporting people, like our general manager and whatnot, and we put together a map. We threw a map up, and it had it had a breakdown by population of all the diaspora, the ethnic communities in Brooklyn and in New York City. And we went down the list. It was like Dominican was number one. I think there's over 500,000 Dominicans who live in the 5 boroughs. Number two, China, Ukraine, Colombia, Ecuador, Poland. I'm going out of order, but these were Jamaica. These were all Haiti, Trinidad. I mean, these were all, and the communities, the populations of these communities just in New York City alone were bigger than many cities in other parts of the United States, just those ethnic communities. So that's where we're really going to recruit. We want somebody from Haiti, from Trinidad, from Colombia, from Jamaica, from China. And then we want the communities to support the players. And then, so this feels like their team. It feels like the team of their community. And I think Brooklyn is probably the only place in the United States that can afford you the opportunity to build a team like that, just because of the way the demographics are constructed.
And you guys can, because I know they play like guys, old guys, it doesn't matter. Like, working men will go out and play on Saturday and Sunday in Brooklyn in different parks. And you'll just, you ride by with some, not that they're going to play with you, but, give them some kits to let them say, this is what we're doing. They'll be like, oh, we're there. Because like you said earlier, they just want to watch good football. Like that's if it's good, they're with it. They're with it, man. And love it or hate it, because it's probably more Man U guys and Chelsea dudes that hate their team but love their team at the same time. But they're there. They're going to be there at the games, right? And that's what you want to have happen. Your stadium is going to be rocking in 4 years, guaranteed.
Yeah. Kev, you'll appreciate this being from Brooklyn, not too far from your neck of the woods. You know where Diker Park is off 86th Street in Brooklyn, 13th Avenue?
Used to play baseball in that.
No way, really?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So the number one fastest growing ethnic community in Brooklyn is El Salvador community. Okay, I think there's 28,000 El Salvadorians in Brooklyn right now, and it's growing at like 30% year over year. So the fastest growing ethnic community in Brooklyn. You go to Diker Park now on Sunday, you will see at least 500 people from El Salvador, who have El Salvador heritage, playing football, playing soccer at the park, and they're dying to have a local team that they could that they could align with, right? And that's just in one little park in one corner of Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
You could do that any given day in Brooklyn. You go downtown, you go to Crown Heights, you go to Bensonhurst, you go to Red Hook. I mean, Sunset Park. You could do that anywhere, and that's the beauty, I think, of this project. Is we really want to create a project that unites, right, all of those cultures in a way that only you can do in a place like Brooklyn.
Nah, I think that, like DA said, it's an evil genius what you guys have discovered, and I think you guys have tapped into something, especially with the whole. I think soccer over the last couple of years, soccer's been around a long time. I think soccer is absolutely rising to a point to where in this country, of course in Europe and in South America, people been
Africa. It's the biggest sport in the world, Cassie.
It's the biggest sport in the world. And we had a conversation not too long ago about I'll bring it up real quick about how the NFL was saying they're going to bring the Super Bowl over to Europe, to European games. I don't agree with that because I think people in Europe they're okay with American football, but they
love it. Yeah, they don't love it.
No,
it's not part of it.
They love FUTBOL. They love that game for sure. And the what's that? The World Cup will be here in 2026, and it's going to be in different places: New York, South Florida. I think Dallas is hosting. I think LA is hosting. Who else is hosting? Boston is hosting. Philadelphia is hosting. It's a big deal, man. And shout out to you, man, for making it happen from the best borough and all out of all our boroughs, of course.
Okay.
Somebody will make this to differ, man. Growing up, list your sports that you love, 1 through 4 or 5.
Well, so I was actually an amateur boxer for about three or 4 years. I competed, and you guys know, growing up in New York, the Golden Gloves was a big deal.
Of course, we do. Yes,
chocolate.
So I fought many pounds ago. It was 141. I fought novice. I didn't have enough fights to fight open. I fought in, I think, 2 or 3 Golden Gloves. I made it to the quarterfinals, got knocked out in about 90 seconds, and then I was like, I better get my degree and figure out some other things to do with my life. But I fought out of Morris Park, in the Bronx.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I know exactly where you fought out of.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love boxing growing up. Guys like Mickey Ward, Arturo Gatti. I mean, I used to idolize those guys growing up. Obviously, a big New York sports fan. So Jets, Yankees, Knicks. Although I was a Nets fan kind of growing up, but I always empathized or sympathized with the Knicks. And, Rangers, 1994 Rangers.
There you go.
Yankees had a squad that year, too, before the strike.
Yeah.
Yes.
Strike. But the
Knicks, of course, and the Knicks were, one game away, right?
Yeah,
From,
yeah.
John Starks, 3 for 17. That's all I got.
That was our first year in sports. Yeah.
Do you guys think we're ever going to see an era like that again?
No.
I think it'll be hard. I think it'll be extremely hard. The way how sports is going now, and especially like football, I just think it'll be hard. I
just think it'll be hard because the Yankees are not finding young players to bring up. I think the Knicks can get there and get close. So this year, if the football teams weren't that god awful, I think we would have had right. The Knicks can make it close to the playoffs, if not, this year. The Yankees got to the World Series, right? So I think from the hockey perspective,
Rangers are
yeah.
Devils are good.
Yeah.
Rangers and Devils are good. Islanders about to fire the coach.
Yeah, well, yeah. That is true. That would be true.
And you don't realize it at the time, but looking back, I mean, we were so spoiled.
Oh, yeah, we spoiled. And my boy tells me that today. He said you spoiled New York fans. I said, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, you're right about development and scouting. Like the Yankees, people forget, but the Yankees dynasty was created by Gene Michaels and all the good scouting they had. I mean,
Gene Michaels, Bob Watson.
Yeah.
After the boss got unceremoniously dismissed from the league, for whatever with the Howie Spur and Dave Winfield thing.
Yeah.
That's when they started to take off. It was kind of like hands off, and they was able to develop the core four, and then
Ernie, Derek, Pettit, and what was the Mo, and what was the catcher? Posada. And then people forget about my man Luis Soto, who played every position except pitch.
He was a utility guy. Yeah.
And he came up with those guys too. Now the one we missed was Jay Buhner because we let him go, but he was in the system with them.
Yeah, he went to Seattle.
I think was it Ken Phelps? Who did they trade Jay Buhner for? Was
Ken Phelps. Ow!
Bringing me back to my childhood.
Wow.
How is it being a Jets fan?
It's you're just kind of numb to. Are you guys are Giants fans?
Yeah, I'm a Giants fan. He's a 49ers fan.
You just get numb to it. I remember 1998. I mean, the Jets 98 with Parcells was an amazing. Parcells was an amazing coach. I think he was one of the best coaches in NFL history. I mean, the Jets were a laughing stock. We forget in the mid to late 90s. They still are, but they really were back then.
We haven't forgotten.
That should have been a Super Bowl team in 99 when what's his name, when Testaverde went down. That was probably a Super Bowl team.
They were.
If Vinny doesn't get hurt, I believe y'all win the Super Bowl this year. At least they'll go.
Yeah. Yes. And they still finished, I think, 500 or 9-7 or something like that without him, with Glenn Foley as the quarterback.
Funny, what's dude's name, man? Not Freeman McNeil. That's before then.
Curtis Martin.
Yeah, but there was a dude that he played for the Jets, man. My son played football with his son. Went to West Virginia. He was a running back. He's good too, man.
Around that time?
Yeah. What's dude's name?
Not Keith Byers, right?
No. See, this is what happens to get old, man. Take your ginkgo, make sure you get your mushrooms in so you don't get like me. He was a running back for the Jets back in the 90s as well, man. And I remember when I met him.
Adrian Morrell?
Yes, that's it. Morrell lives out here by me.
He was good. Adrian Morrell was good. He was before the Jets got good, but he was a very good running back. Yeah, he actually
drag races or had the drag racing team.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. He's a country boy, believe it or not. So yeah, he has a drag racing team, man. So yeah, man. But the Jets were not bad. They had good drafts. They just had bad coaching. Like
terrible coaching. Yeah, Kotite and
Rich was bad.
Bruce Coslett.
Bruce didn't care.
Wow.
Bruce didn't care, and Rich Kotite had no effing clue.
Yeah.
No effing clue. I thought I call him the beggar because on ESPN he begs all the time.
Rex.
Yeah, Rex. I thought Rex was a good coach, but I just don't like the fact that on ESPN he shoots down every other coach coaching. He's like, I can do that. I can do that job.
Well, now the Jets, he was the last coach, I think, to take the Jets to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right? They have the longest drought, I believe, in all the sports.
12 years since the Jets been in postseason play. Yeah.
It's the longest drought, right? Not just in the NFL, but I think in all of the
sports.
You
can't buy it. You just can't buy it, fellas.
No.
And we're going to get off this because it's probably depressing for most Jets folks, but you've put yourselves in a 5-year whirlwind. Because when this guy quits next year, because he's going to be 85 years old.
Yeah, it's a reset.
It's a reset, man. And then you got to get rid of everybody that's paying a lot of money to.
Yeah. Well, they went for it. And this is where we're at. Yeah.
What's it like for you guys down in South Florida? You're in South Florida, right?
I'm in South Florida.
I'm in North Carolina now.
So what is that, Panthers territory? And you're in Dolphins territory?
I'm a Niners fan, so I don't even watch anybody. Yeah. I've been a Niners fan since 1980, so I don't watch anybody else. I really could care less than anybody else does.
The Panthers are awful because I used to live in the Charlotte area as well, and they're awful. Down here in South Florida, they have turned on the Dolphins as they always do. Tua is in and out with his concussion thing that's going on. Baseball, they don't care about the Marlins. They don't go. You can easily when the Yankees come here. I'm golden. I'm sitting third base line, first base line.
Probably all Yankee fans, right?
Oh yeah, it's literally a Yankee home game for even for when the Mets play. They'll come down here and they come down and play. What else? The Panthers, they just won the Stanley Cup. People are actually digging them. So shout out to to the Florida Panthers.
Kachuk.
Yeah, and it's a bad dude. And of course the Miami Heat. They love the Heat down here. But that's how the sports scene down here in South Florida and how it goes. So I was just telling the guys I was in New Orleans this weekend too, and I was just joking how they don't. Every lift ride I came in, they don't care about the Pelicans. They could care less about.
Really?
Yeah, no.
The Saints, they love the Saints though, right?
Oh, they love who dat and when the Saints come marching and all of that stuff. So
yeah,
it's definitely
god awful bad, but it's good to have fans, right?
Who do you guys like in the NFL this year for the Super Bowl?
Detroit,
and Kansas City.
Yeah, Detroit. I think it's
Baltimore.
I'd love to see the Lions get to a Super Bowl. They should have got there last year.
Yeah. We knocked them out, but
that's right.
They actually played a better game than us. They should have won that game.
They should have. Absolutely.
That was still a sketchy call. I don't know why he made that call.
I got a real bad. Yes. Yeah.
Helped you guys out though, DA, I guess.
Yes, sir. I'll take it. Listen, man. Matt, one day we'll sit down and I'll tell you all the time that the Niners have got hosed by the refs in the world. So I'm a conspiracy theorist. So I'm like, remember when that happened?
What was the last Niners Super Bowl when they won?
Oh, golly, 1995.
That was against the Chargers, right?
Yeah.
They
turned the lights out in the Kaepernick Super Bowl, and then the next year, what's my man? Navarro Bowman got his leg broken in the game. The refs didn't call anything. They called it a fumble. He's laying there with his leg broke. Jeez. No one blows the whistle. He's just laying there, and Seattle picks the ball up. I'm like, you sons of. I am the guy now that really has a big problem with officiating. I believe that we need to get the robots in baseball. And I know it sounds crazy, but dude, don't show me the box if this dude can't call the box. Like, don't show it to me on TV.
They miss it half the time. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time.
I don't. But see, that's why soccer is great, because the net's the net, baby.
Yeah.
And the box is the box. Offsides is offsides. You can see when you got too many. You can see it. You don't even need a replay.
Yeah.
You don't even need a replay to know it's happening, right? But these guys here, it's like, hold on, that can't strike. He threw it. What? So it's. And I only get upset because what I do for a living, it's you have to be precise, and they pay those guys, and they can go watch a TV screen and still get the freaking call wrong. So not really sure how this works. It's kind of weird to me, man.
I'll tell you guys a quick story you'll appreciate. Our first year in Italy, we're in the 5th tier, right? We were doing everything we could to get the hell out of there, get promoted. So we put together a team in 10 days, and we basically ran through the league. We won. There was 30 games. We were in the 28th week, okay? We had 26 wins, 2 losses, no ties, okay? The second place team, though, wasn't losing either. They had 25 wins, 2 losses, 1 tie, okay? So we were like 2 points ahead of them with 2 games to go. And we're sitting, it's a road game. So basically there was no margin for error, okay?
Yeah.
And only one team gets promoted. So if you finish second, you got to do this all over again next year, all right? And at this point, there's no time there's only 2 games left in the season, so there was no time to recover points. If you lose points, you're done.
Right.
And, 90 minutes in soccer, it was the 82nd minute. We're on the road against a mid-table team. They had nothing to play for. But like this was like their Super Bowl. Beating us was like their Super Bowl. They score a goal in the 82nd minute. So they're up 1-0. And that's it. Like the whole first season just like literally flashed before our eyes. Like we're like, we got to do this all over again. We get the ball, 82nd minute, down 1-0, come down, we score a goal. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Now it's the 85th minute, I think. So it's 1-1, but the tie doesn't do us any good because the other team, the second place team, won. So we got to win. It's the last play of the game, like 89th minute. Okay, we get a long ball into the box, crosses it in, and our guy scores. And we win 2-1, and we wound up winning the league then the next week, and we got promoted. Our guys literally, and our fans, I'll send you videos after, they lost their minds.
They're supposed to.
Nobody knew where to run after we scored the goal. They literally didn't know what to do with themselves. It was just complete.
Because they hadn't won, man. You gave them something they hadn't had. That's why they're yours forever.
Yeah.
They're yours forever because you gave them something they had never had before. Yeah. Come on, you can never beat that feeling, man.
That's a feeling we'll take with us we're going to take that to the grave with us.
It's that, man, listen. That's that you caught a touchdown, you made a tackle, you hit a home run. In your case, you knocked somebody out, whatever. Yeah. It's like, wow. But you did that for a whole stadium.
Yeah.
So you got
soccer is such a game of inches. You give up a goal, you could dominate a game and lose, because you give up a goal in the 90th minute and you didn't score when you had a chance to score, and that's the game. I've never seen a game where you could dominate and not win like in soccer.
Yeah, well, and the thing is that even if you tie, and it was funny when you said your record, because I'm like, wow, that was good to have no ties. That means you guys were beating the shit out of dudes.
Yeah.
Because, usually in 30 games, you'll have at least, 5.
Yeah.
6.
Especially because so many teams in soccer, when they're playing against a first place team, they'll sit back and just try to get out of there with the point.
Yeah. They'll score a goal, and then they got like, how many bats you got?
They
like
park
everybody's
the bus.
back.
The bus. Yeah.
Everybody's sitting there. Yeah.
In Italy, they teach you how to fake the injuries. They're starting to do that in the NFL now too, and in college. But they must be studying the Italian football playbook, those college teams, because they've been doing that in Italy for 30 years, where you get a little nick on your shin, and it's like it's like
I saw that the other day, and they was trying to question it. Kirk Herbstreit was like, we can't tell who. It's like, hey, bro, you're never going to be able to tell, man.
It's a big thing now, though. It's a big thing in college football now.
Yep.
Yeah.
It definitely is. Matt, let me ask you a couple questions before we get out of here.
Of course.
Most disappointing thing when it comes to your sports business. Anything disappointing?
Disappointing. Look, we've lost a bunch of games that, when you lose games, you try to not let it get to you, but the reality is it ruins your whole week. And in soccer, you got one game a week, so you got 6 days to think about, the losses. So I could probably give you 8 or 9 games, but you also try to learn from those losses. You try to use as opportunities to learn and to get better and to improve. So even though they were losses and it sucked during the week to deal with them, they taught us lessons in their own way.
Got you. And you answered my question as, I guess, the most fulfilling thing, that story you just gave us. I guess that was absolutely fulfilling. Like you said, the last minute and the goal, and like the DA says, giving people, and that's the wonderful thing. And that's why I love what we do, because sports does give you those moments where, where was you when this happened? Where was you when Jeter threw the throw from all the way from the third base dugout almost? Where were you? Or when in Oakland, when he caught the ball and then he threw it to home plate from cutting the ball off. Those moments, man. And I just try to tell younger people, man, I'll be like, yo, man, you got to embrace the moment when it comes to sports, man, because you never know, especially if you're a fan. And
I'll say our most fulfilling, believe it or not, was actually not that game. We had 300 fans. The first time we took over the team, our first game, we had 300 fans, 25,000 seat stadium, 300 fans in the 5th tier showed up. Okay. 2 years later, when we got promoted for the second time to the 3rd tier, we won our championship game on the road. And I was at that game with a bunch of our partners, Mark Consuelos, my right hand, Nicola Chirincio. All these guys were at the game with us. We rode back on the bus with the team after we won the championship. There were 30,000 fans waiting for us in the parking lot when we got back to greet us. So think about that. In the span of 2 years, we went from basically 300 fans. Nobody believed in our project. Nobody believed we could turn the team around, get them promoted twice. And in the span of 2 years, we pulled up and there was 30,000 people waiting for us. So that was one of the most gratifying things that I've ever accomplished in my career, my life, really.
Fantastic, man. So
That's
I guess
awesome.
it'll be
And I was with my daughter too, by the way. So that was probably the best part.
It's going to be 3 million when we beat Juventus. So just
I
so you know,
I got your seat. I'm keeping your seat warm for that one.
I'm ready. I am ready, man. Because you know how it goes. You know how those games go, B. You know, man, how it is.
It's on.
You know, yeah, it's on. It's on when it's on. All right, just understand. It's go time when you step in the stadium. You're not there. The soft don't go. Because I've seen women in Europe throw hands at games. I've seen women like for real get it in. So yeah, it's dead serious, man.
Oh yeah.
All my Brooklyn people, hey, Matt and his team had the privilege. They did honors and they sent me some swag. Hey man, make sure y'all check out Brooklyn FC. The ladies are playing. The guys will be formulating in 2025. They sent me some swag, man. Look at this, man. Thank you so much, Matt.
You got it. Yeah, I gotta get some your way too.
Okay, we'll take it, bro.
They sent me a scarf, shirt. Make sure you support Brooklyn FC. All my Brooklyn people under the sound of my voice. Harlem people too, Queens people. Everybody in the 5 boroughs.
Man. Yeah, go, man.
Go to the games. I absolutely, when I go up there, I'm going to support them. I'm trying to see they come down. I got a Fort Lauderdale franchise. Yep. When they come to Fort Lauderdale, I am going to go to the game.
Nice. So I'm going to be there too.
Well, we need to hook up. I get the information and stuff like that. We'll make a day of it. And I saw it. I said, "Oh, okay, there's a franchise down here in Fort Lauderdale, and that stadium is like 15 minutes from where I'm at." So,
and DA, we got one. We had a road trip in Carolina too.
All right, I'll be there. It don't matter to me, baby. I'm with it. I tell my wife I'm out. I get in the Batmobile and I'm there.
He's used to it by now, I'm sure.
Yeah.
DA, the Carolina team looks like they play where D Dubs works at UNC Charlotte.
That's cool. That's good. That's a nice stadium. I want to ask a quick question, man. Salaries, collective bargaining, television contracts. What's on the horizon for the league?
So right now there's no salary cap. There's a minimum salary, which I believe is somewhere around 40,000, something like that.
Yeah.
There's no salary cap. I think the NWSL just approved a salary cap of, I want to say it was somewhere around 2 million. I want to say, could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But we're right there. Super League is very competitive, like you said. Also beyond salaries, we provide housing, to our players. So, housing in New York City, it's not cheap. This is something that,
sure.
And it's really just about experiencing what it's like to be a professional athlete in New York. And these are women, who are getting that experience for the first time ever, because there's never been a pro team in the 5 boroughs. So we're really proud of that.
Cool. And did you guys have any prospects for television in the near future?
Oh, yeah, definitely. All of our games right now, the USL has an exclusive deal with Peacock, NBC. Okay. Yeah, so all the games all the games are live streamed on Peacock, which has been amazing in terms of visibility and credibility. And then obviously we have a bunch of local media that follows us here in the New York area, so we're really excited about that too.
So, that's another evil genius thing.
Yep.
Because Peacock is NBC, right? And NBC does premiere, right? So you're getting direct viewership from folks that watch Premiere because they're on the same streaming network. Because Peacock does Premiere games too.
Yeah.
So
it's true when you think of, how many Premier League fans are there in the United States right now? The Premier League is almost like a 5th professional sports league, major league now.
Yeah.
And they think
I'm sorry. I was going to say.
No, go ahead.
If you got the itching for us to watch a match, USL games on, check the ladies out, right?
Exactly.
You're already paying for the streaming service, so it makes sense. You just, I'm gonna turn this on. So
exactly.
That's wow. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you guys are gonna be rich. Take me to the fences, brother.
We claim it and we believe it. Yes, and they'll look back at this episode. So, this has been great. These are the interviews that I love. They're not really interviews; they're conversations. As DA's son often always says, he says, "You want to have a conversation," as he eloquently says, his son. And I love it. And it's just 3 dudes just talking about sports, especially soccer. Man, Matt, this was absolutely great. Let me give you a round of applause, man.
Appreciate that.
Kevin Che, man, I love soccer, man.
I had a
love
blast.
football.
DA, before we jump, Harlem, I got to ask you, who were some of your favorite basketball players from Harlem? There's been so many of them.
Well, from Harlem that are actually born and raised in Harlem, right? There's a dude named Kenny Hutchinson, right?
Yeah, of course.
There's Kenny Hutch. There's some little known dudes like my man Molly. He went to play Xavier. He's one of the best cats I knew. There was who played with Kenny. His son's actually playing now, not Troy Truesdale. What's his son?
Troy Truesdale passed away recently.
Yeah, he just passed. Yeah, he went to he's Iona. Troy was nice.
Troy could jump. That was before my time, but they have. I went to Iona, and all the alumni that followed the basketball team back in the '80s, they have stories about Troy Truesdale could jump out of the building.
Yeah, he could. Troy.
Steve Burt's another one.
Steve Burt, all day. They call him all day.
And Gary Springer, didn't Gary Springer come up in Harlem?
That's who it is, Gary Springer, right? Gary Springer is supposed to go to the league.
Yeah, he got hurt. He had an injury.
He got hurt.
Yeah,
his son is playing now.
Yeah. Oh, his son's in the NBA, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, He played with what's that? IMG Academy.
Bad boy. He did 1 year, I think, at Tennessee, right?
Yes, he's a guard. He's not big as his father. His father was big. Gary was nice, man.
Yeah.
Who else, man? I mean, see, it's funny because when you're outside of New York, I claim everybody that played basketball. I claim Kenny, Stephon. I think Stephon Marbury was probably the best guard to ever play in New York City. Come from out of New York City.
Brooklyn.
Kevin, that was your time, right?
Brooklyn, Lincoln.
He's a little younger than me, but
yes,
like he's
he went to Lincoln.
He's better than Pearl Washington, and Pearl was serious. Better than Mark Jackson, but I think the guards will tell you, like, he was, probably the best to make it, like, to the NBA. Like Kenny Anderson was, like, out of high school the best. Like, I remember Kenny Anderson was, like, ranked the #1 player in the country from the time he was in 6th grade.
Yeah.
So, like, when they had that Street Smith book.
Where'd he go to? All Hollows? Or
no, he went to Kenny went to Bishop Laughlin.
Okay.
Bishop Laughlin. He was a bad dude, man.
Yeah.
Like, he is a bad dude.
Kevin, who's your time? What was your time? Who were the street ball legends of your time?
Like I said, Marlboro. He went to, like I said, I went to Lafayette. You know where Lincoln's at, right? Subway stop away, a couple subway stops away. So I grew up around that time with Marbury. Who else? Trying to think.
Lance Stevenson, I guess, was after
Lance all day. All day was a bad man, though.
Yeah, he came afterwards. But I just remember Marbury, man. Marbury was absolutely that dude when it came to especially basketball and point guards and stuff like that. Of course, there's some other, Brooklyn legends and stuff like that. But Mark Jackson, he came before me. Who else?
Chris Mullin.
Well, Chris Mullin. Funny story about Chris Mullin. The house that he lived in before he made it big and was at St. John's, we lived around the corner from his family, man, in Brooklyn, man. So, Chris Mullin. How can I forget about Chris Mullin? That's my
Let me tell you, I got a funniest story. So Chris and his little brother, he used to be in Harlem. They played for Riverside Church.
That's right.
That was the AAU team, right? Chris had like a short haircut. Like he was around. He was in the hood all the time. Like Chris was like he was in the hood all the time. So, like, you always see Chris up there, like, wow, son. Because that's like we know when he speaks, you can hear the street comes out and be like, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like, wow, like Chris, Danny Hurley, Bobby, like they all would be right there, like, because they would come play. They would just come to play against dudes uptown, and then they would go back, but they would stick around because the women were so pretty, and the chicks in Harlem didn't discriminate. Now it was what it was. So
that was a special time, though. That was a special time in bad. I mean,
you can't. It's hard. It's not going to be that, because I don't even think kids play outside as much as they used to.
No,
when we were younger. Like this.
They also leave to go to the prep schools now, right?
Yep. Because they listen. People say, "Oh, Kyrie Irving is played out for this Jersey team. I'm like, yo, Kyrie Irving's a New York kid.
Yeah.
They just brought him out to play for that
Exactly.
school.
Yeah, that doesn't. People think that there's not as much talent in New York. That's not the case. They just leave to go to prep school elsewhere.
Yeah, because the Catholic schools, unfortunately, I went to Cardinal Hayes. Went through a lot of problems, right? Financial problems, and the public schools don't get the backing from a sports perspective anymore. But I will say Cardinal Hayes won their first state championship in football ever last year, and I think that it's hard, man. It's really hard because there's so many kids that can play in New York in every sport. I remember when I wanted to box. And I went to 109th and 3rd Avenue, the PAL. And then I was okay. And then I went to go to the gym where your man Hector was at, Camacho.
Yeah.
And I watched that, and I was like, oh, God, what the hell is this? And I thought, listen, all the talk, he was doing this, getting high, but his workout was so crazy. I was like, yo, this guy's got to be a freaking animal if he's getting high and doing all of this. This man is an absolute monster. Like, I was like, I would never spar with this dude. If you could watch his, like, how you have one workout, like do 500 push-ups. Like he would do bag work and then drop. Do bag work and then drop. And I'm not, like heavy bag work and then drop. I'm like, wow. Just do push-ups, knocking them out. I'm like, wow. I said, this dude here is. I said, I don't. I said, I don't even understand that. Oh, you're doing coke, you're doing this. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I said, you need to do that. To do that work. I bet he is. Why would
down burpees and all that stuff? Yeah.
I mean, that dude there was a monster, man. I didn't even understand how serious boxing was.
Oh, yeah.
Till I saw that. And then, my father said, yo, listen, never fight a boxer in the street. He said, you got no chance. He took he said, no chance. He said, D, you can fight because you know a little bit. They know a lot of bit. So what are you gonna do? I said, yeah, I'm gonna get bit. I said, I'm leaving. So I'm gonna talk to them. Hey, Matt, listen, I was sorry. Hey, I'm sorry.
I was the exception to that. You could have taken me easily, believe me.
No, man.
You had no problem.
It was to watch it. It was just so hard, man. The workouts and this and that. It's very, very hard, man. I got a lot of respect for him. That's probably my favorite after. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a favorite, but Max Kellerman, and we can end it on this, man. Max Kellerman said on TV one day, and I find this to be the truth. He said, if you have a football game on one corner, a basketball game on another corner, a baseball game on one corner, and a hockey game on another, and they're all packed out, and in the middle of all those games, a fight breaks out in the middle of all four. Everybody's leaving all those sports to watch the fight.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Dang.
So,
It's true. I like
Max
that.
Kellerman. Max Kellerman, that's a lot. Matt, we're gonna have you have the last say. What's your thoughts before we get on out of here, man? Thank you again, brother, for coming through.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
DA, thanks for having me, Kev. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure, an honor. Keep up the great work. Obviously, we're really passionate about what we're building with Brooklyn Football Club. It's just at the beginning, so follow us, support us. Get on, hop on for the ride. It's going to be a beautiful journey, and it's just getting started. We got the World Cup coming here in a few years, so there's a lot of great things happening, and we could use all the support we could get. So jump on. There's good people behind the project, and you could be a part of it from day one. So hop on and help us out.
You got it, brother. Whatever you need.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is Matt Rizzetta. Let me give him some more applause. Oh, man.
Thanks, fellas.
Take care, man. You and your daughters, man. Please take care.
You too,
man.
DA. Thanks for the time, and I'll see you in Carolina. And Kev, let's get together in Fort Lauderdale.
And
sure.
like I said, we'll get together in New York, man. So we'll definitely do that, man. Matt, don't go nowhere. We're going to get on out of here. On behalf of myself, I'm Kevin L. Warren, your host and moderator for Dorian the DA, All Britain, for our special guest, my main man, Matt Rizzetta, man. He's the club owner of Brooklyn FC, ladies and the guys, man. Also in some teams in Europe, man. Yo, this is the Sports Chasers podcast. Y'all be good. Y'all be great. Have a blessed one. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Sports Chasers podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms and connect with us on all social media channels for exclusive content and updates. We'd also love for you to join the conversation, share your thoughts, and become part of the Sports Chasers community. And remember to tune in next time for some more real sports talk. Until then, stay frosty.